Bon, j'ai changé de jeu. Le PSN ne fonctionne pas. Du coup, pas faire du Gran Turismo. Et en plus, il y a une manche aujourd'hui. Donc, j'espère qu'ils vont résoudre le problème rapidement, hein, pour que je fasse ma manche et que je prenne des points. Sinon, je serais pas content. Et coup, on va jouer à ce petit jeu qui était le jeu du mois de janvier ou décembre. Jamais joué. On va voir ce que ça donne. Donc, The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. On va commencer. On
This
va
is the story
commencer.
of a man named Stanley.
Attends,
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number
j'ai mis
427.
français.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And
Ok.
then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ok. Alors déjà, pour vous compreniez quelque chose, je vais quand même mettre du français en sous-titre, hein. Bien que j'avais dit que c'était du français au départ dans les settings. Allez. Opacité d'arrière-plan des sous-titres. Taille des sous-titres petits. Je vais mettre très petit. Voilà. Retour. Reprendre la partie. Voilà, voilà, voilà. Il y a des choses à faire. Hello! Y a-t-il quelqu'un?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Y
Stanley
a-t-il
decided to
quelqu'un?
go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
The memo?
No
Est-ce que
matter
je
how
serais
hard
venu un jour
Stanley looked,
férié?
he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Est-ce que tu te caches derrière cette plante? Vous êtes où? Dans les tiroirs? Ok, il faut que j'aille dans la meeting room. La montagne. Je peux rien voir dehors. C'est n'importe quoi ce bâtiment. Hello? Y a quelqu'un? Si c'est une blague, ça fait pas rire. Regardez-moi ces belles photos en 4K là. I hate Mondays. Ok. Ah, il y a des graphiques ici.
When
Hello,
Stanley
hello.
came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
The door on his left. Et si j'ai pas envie? Si j'ai pas envie. Hey! Qui c'est qui m'a enfermé? Bordel. Stanley! Open the door! Ah ouais, ça me fait penser à une chanson de Eminem. Stanley! What did you do to yourself? Voilà la meeting room. Attention. Y a personne.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Attends. Do not alter without consulting whiteboard manager. Ah oui, le whiteboard manager. Read fonts. Meeting schedule. Group. Oh, je suis 427. Je crois, hein. Groupe 427, Wednesday. Tac. Ok. 8 bird. On a compris. Tomorrow. The future was yesterday. Tomorrow is now. Ah, excellent. Excellent. Écoutez, c'est le week-end. Bon, qu'est-ce que je fais le week-end dans un bureau? Solving interpersonal conflict. Oh! C'est qui fait changer les diapos. Pas d'accord. Quels sont vos rêves pour le futur? Tips pour ne pas se faire virer. Talk less. Parlez moins. À la fin. Putain, mais laissez-moi le temps de lire quand même. Comment résoudre une dispute avec un collaborateur? Using slides to ensure employees that everything ok. Allez, je vais aller dans le bureau de mon boss. Mais qui c'est qui ferme ses portes derrière moi? Il y a un fantôme. Sérieux que pour aller... Il n'y a pas d'ascenseur ici?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ah, bien sûr, le boss est toujours en haut. Le bâtiment est un petit peu rudimentaire, quoi. Oh, là, on change carrément de niveau. Executive bathroom. Il y a quand une executive bathroom. Wow. Il a un beau bureau, quand même. Tout ça pour une seule personne.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845. J'ai une mémoire de poisson, j'ai déjà oublié. 2845. Mais le secret, c'est normal. Le secret, c'est que c'est un jour férié.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Oui, ok. Merci de me le rappeler. C'est génial. Tiens. Ah ouais. Là, il y a un truc qui apparaît.
2845.
Ah, ok. C'est bon. 2, 8, 4, 5.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Oh là là. J'aimerais bien avoir un bureau comme ça, hein. Pourquoi les fenêtres se sont fermées? Et le boss, il est où? T'as pas de photo de toi? Bon alors, l'entreprise a fermé. Pourquoi ils sont comme ça? Alors, en bas ou en haut? De toute façon, je peux faire que en bas. Loading.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Ouf. Oh. Des étincelles.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Oh. Escape. Oh yes. Escape. On va aller affronter le danger. J'ai pas peur. Je n'ai pas peur.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find
C'est le
out?
professeur Xavier. C'est le professeur Xavier. Le cérébro. C'est donc ça, je suis dans X-Men. C'est le professeur Xavier.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
D'accord. Fired. Faut que je cherche le 427. Employé 427. C'est moi. Le bureau est vide. Tout est vide. Ce qui semble logique. Après, il y a le 528. Il y a quelque chose. CCTV. Ah, le 528. Il y a un petit souci sur le 528. 528 ou 529? Je sais plus. 528. Retenez bien ça. Ça peut peut-être nous servir. C'est le seul qui est en erreur, le 528. Et après, tu as un fired. Employee fired. Ok. 528. Attends. Ok.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Attends, je sais même plus c'était quoi le numéro. 500... Ouais, je sais même plus. C'était le 568. 500. Ah, 528? 528.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Mind control status offline. Offline. Tout est offline. Ah. Vas-y, j'ai pas peur. Tu vois, c'est rien passé. Console disable. Tout est disable. L'entreprise a fermé, c'est sûr. T'as pas compris qu'elle a été délocalisée, mec? Elle a été délocalisée. Hop là. Je viens de là. Ouh, mind control idle. Awaiting input. System power.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Ouais, ok. Off ou on? Ah là là là. Off ou on? Est-ce que je mets un terme à toute cette manigance machiavélique? Ou est-ce que je suis curieux et j'appuie sur on? Écoute. Ça y est, c'est fini. Vous ne nous manipulerez plus.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Or was it the beginning of everything?
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Ah, Stanley, t'as fait une bêtise, hein. Vaut mieux vivre heureux dans le mensonge ou triste dans la réalité. Toi, tu as choisi de vivre triste dans la réalité, hein.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Ah bon? Retrouve sans travail, mec. C'est ça ta quête de vérité, de liberté? Ah, mince. L'histoire se répète-t-elle? Je me retrouve au même endroit qu'au début. Mince.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
The meeting room, the memo. Le jour recommence. C'est un jour sans fin. Mince. Je suis coincé dans le temps. Dans l'espace-temps. Oh non. Je dois recommencer encore et encore jusqu'à ce que je trouve la
When
vraie
Stanley
solution.
came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ah, la meeting room. Forget the memo. Peut-être qu'il faut pas que je prenne la porte de gauche, mais celle de droite. C'est toi en fait. Ah, ok, c'est peut-être toi en
Yet there
fait
was
le,
not a
le
single
méchant.
person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Peut-être qu'il faut pas que j'écoute la voix. C'est elle qui me met sur le mauvais chemin. D'ailleurs, aujourd'hui, on est quel jour? Ils disent pas ça, hein? Do not alter without consulting whiteboard manager. Floor 4x6. Meeting room, the memo. Peut-être qu'il y a un truc à décoder ici. Encore faut-il que je comprenne. 11h, midi. The memo. La meeting room, the memo. Get Chris out of the broom closet. The broom closet. Ah, attends. Who moved my desk? Please keep the targets on the topic of employee. Okay. Complete today's unfinished agenda items. Attends, broom closet. Peut-être qu'il y a un truc là-dedans, toi. The memo on the meeting room. Qu'est-ce qu'il fait? Space between the teenagers, throw something in the IT bin. Ah ouais. Ouais. Qu'est-ce we need to get rid of the test sport portion, but I think that's a stupid idea. Graph about Finn's plus money. We have our new project. Qu'est-ce que c'est que ce beans? Number of slides on this slide. To do. Monetize. Ah, monetize free to play. C'est fou. Peut-être qu'il faut pas que j'écoute cette putain de voix. Le broom closet. Ah, regarde.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Non, 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 je vais pas t'écouter, toi, la voix. Toi, tu m'as... Ah mince, ça s'est fermé. Mais il est où Chris? Je crois qu'il fallait libérer Chris de la broom closet.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Non, je vais pas aller au boss office. Je vais pas t'écouter. Fire hose. Là, il y a un truc là. Il y a rien.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Ah ouais, carrément.
Then
Ah
he
ouais.
imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up.
Ah ouais.
How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
Yes.
Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of the world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself.
Il va se réveiller dans le bureau 427.
I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine.
Ouais, c'est dans un rêve.
I am okay.
Tu vas bientôt te réveiller. Ah bah non, je suis là. D'accord.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Ah ouais.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Quoi? Qu'est-ce que c'est que ce beat?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
A-t-on vraiment le contrôle de notre vie? That is the question. Ah, je suis retourné à mon bureau. Et hop là, on recommence.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Laissez-moi sortir de ce
No matter
bâtiment.
how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his
S'il vous
co-workers.
plaît. Est-ce que je suis vraiment fou? Est-ce que je suis vivant? Est-ce que je suis mort? Est-ce que je rêve? Laissez-moi sortir. Je n'en peux plus.
When Stanley came to a set of two open
Tais-toi, la
doors,
voix, je vais
he
pas
and
te
this was
suivre.
not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley
Non.
knew it
Et alors?
perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first,
Sors
just
de
to
ma
admire
tête.
it.
Sors de ma tête, fichu voix. Attends, c'était déjà dans le parking là. Il y avait un truc qui est écrit 12 B4, je crois. Est-ce que ce serait pas un indice? 12 B4. Oh, attention.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Ouais, ok. 12 B4.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
12 B4.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Oh, peut-être que... Oh. On his left. Jamais de la vie. Moi, je t'écoute pas, mec. Moi, je t'écoute pas.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Douze B4. Do not jump from the cargo lift while it is in motion. Okay. Penalty for jumping off the cargo lift. 5000. Ban access for trained employees only. Climb at your own risk. Est-ce que je saute ou je saute pas? T'as besoin d'une carte. Ok. Vers l'infini et au-delà.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Allez.
I'm not your enemy, but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
The end is never the end.
All of his co-workers were gone. What
Excellent.
could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ce mémo, on s'en fout du mémo.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this
Je
was
vais pas
not the
écouter la
correct way to
voix,
the meeting
mais
room,
je vais
and
écouter les
Stanley knew it
indications qui sont
perfectly well.
écrites.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Non, la voix, je n'écoute pas la voix.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Allez.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
For her? Oh, for her.
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
She's been waiting. C'est 12 B4. Ça se voit pas. Douze B4. Oh non. Bulldog. Allez, let's go.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, Then pick up the phone.
Pick up the phone. Allez, on va pick up the phone. Comment pick up the phone? You are fired.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Oh,
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
ah ouais. T'es sérieux? Mais il est fou ce mec. Ah
This
oui,
is a
d'accord.
very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Ah bon? Bonjour, employé, appuyez sur votre manette.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do.
Ah
Now he's
ouais.
pushing a button. Now
Ah
he's
ouais.
eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Ah ouais. D'accord. Tu m'as bien piégé, hein. Je suis obligé d'écouter tout ce que tu dis. Je suis obligé d'appuyer sur croix. Enfoiré. Allez.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he
Tu m'as
returned to
manipulé.
work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Tu m'as manipulé.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Pour passer du temps entre potes. Ah ouais. Ouais.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Ah, et si j'appuyais sur O? Gauche, droite. Il se passe rien. Je suis obligé d'appuyer sur bas.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Il appuie sur croix pour une histoire aux
It
enfants.
was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Veuillez appuyer sur triangle pour dire à votre femme que vous l'aimez. 3. Carré. Rond. J'étais d'appuyer sur triangle.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
No.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this
Retourne dans
world
mon
he can
bureau.
never be anything but an
No.
observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly
Sortez-moi de
killing
là, s'il vous
himself.
plaît.
But he won't listen to me.
No.
He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley,
Deviens
the
fou.
next time the screen asks you to push a button,
Arrête de me parler,
do
putain de
not
voix.
do it.
Tu me casses la tête.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Pour ne rien remettre en question.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button.
Veuillez mourir.
And I tried.
Oh là là. Oh là là. The end is never the end. Bordel. Je suis revenu à la case départ.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
Le discours a changé. B4. C'est le seul truc que j'ai vu. Awaiting input. Après c'était... Ah oui, attends, 528. Mais je suis qu'au 4e. T'as des portes
When
numérotées.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Je crois que je vais faire un truc.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
T'inquiète,
Perhaps he
t'inquiète.
wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Employee room, yes.
The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called... But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Door on his left. Pas tout de suite.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
A4, A2. C'est quoi? Vent access of train employee only. Climb at your own risk. Ah, je vais crever là. Par contre.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really.
Ah, tu vas passer sur la
I
passerelle.
realize that investing your trust in someone else can be
Voilà.
difficult,
Là,
but the
normalement.
fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
Là,
There's
là, je vais
someone
sauter
you've
là.
been neglecting,
Regarde,
Stanley.
regardez, regardez.
Really?
Voilà.
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Ouais. Danger everywhere. Oh, ça, non, c'est bon, là, il n'y a pas de danger. Voilà, le 2B1. Et donc, il y aura le B4. J'espère. B3. Voilà. Je me disais bien. Hein. Voilà, B4, là, normalement. Et il veut pas. Hein. Oh, attends. Après, il y a peut-être 12. Faut que j'attende de... Non. Est-ce que les horloges ont une incidence? Est-ce que les horloges ont une incidence? Peut-être. Hein. Peut-être que les horloges...
Now
ont une
listen
incidence.
carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
La pilule rouge ou la pilule bleue? La vérité ou le mensonge? Allez.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
Non.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Oh merde. Oh non. Non.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Ah ouais, carrément. Attends, Office. Office Space. 64. Rien à faire. C'est un truc qui est pas ok.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
ah ouais? Bah écoute, comme j'ai jamais joué au précédent, mais je dirais que
Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Clearly there's something here that speaks to you. If I can be honest here, I really don't have any idea where I'm going with this. This whole third door thing was just a stab in the dark. But I guess you're into it, so let's keep this party train rolling. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
ah ouais, carrément. Ah ouais, qu'est-ce que c'est que ce Beans? Qu'est-ce que c'est que ce truc? Leaderboard? Qu'est-ce que c'est que ce truc? Did you know that? Seuls 21% ont sauté la séquence d'introduction. Only. Oh merde. How long does it take to you to get to the correct door? Compete against others to improve your standing parable. Ah ouais. D'accord, je suis 9328. Sur 9328. Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? C'est The Dead Rat is offline? Non, attends. 7:37, 33, ça veut dire c'est des minutes, j'espère. Non? Compete, ok. 91 724. Ah ouais, c'est un truc sans fin en fait. C'est un truc sans fin. En fait, il faut ouvrir la bonne porte. 1382 awards won. 101 000 door close. 18 000 ending achieved. 98% of players are more attractive than Stanley. Only the worst 3% of players choose the blue door. Only the worst. Ah, ça veut dire que je fais partie des 3% qui ont choisi la porte bleue, quoi. Ok. Allez, bim. Je vais repasser. Ah non, attends, il me
Now,
refait passer.
would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
Ah oui, bien sûr.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right. and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Oh! Qu'est-ce que c'est que cette merde? Ouais, d'accord. Ok. Ça veut dire que pendant 4 heures, je dois faire ce truc. Ah, tiens, il ralentit. J'ai l'impression qu'il ralentit. Ah ouais, attends, comment je fais pour quitter ce jeu, s'il te plaît? S'il te plaît. Ok, j'ai compris. Il faut que je laisse brûler. On va laisser brûler, hein.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out, I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Oh,
Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
qu'est-ce que c'est que ce jeu? Il est fou ce jeu. En fait, tu te sers de moi pour faire des expériences. On va aller chasser du gibier. Il y a des choses là. Qu'est-ce que c'est que ce jeu? Oh! Du gaz.
Oh, no. No, it can't be.
Can be? It can be. Yes, it can be.
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly, block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You really wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
Ah ouais.
Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
D'accord. Ça c'est quoi ça? Oh!
Wonderful. See, this is
Rocket
exactly what I
League.
had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
Rocket League, quoi.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Oh, carrément. Carrément.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought. And I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball. Yes! Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley,
Yes.
I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls!
More balls. More balls. More balls. More balls. More balls. More balls. This is what we want. More balls.
Are you enjoying this, Stanley? Are you having fun? Is this a real video game? Well, I sure hope you're having a good time, because guess what? It's over.
Quoi?
That's right. Your little fun comes to an end. This is my game, and what
Mais
I
tu
say
es
goes.
sadique. Tu es
You get to have
machiavélique.
fun when I let you, Stanley. Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I'm structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley.
Je suis
I'm
d'accord avec
leaving.
toi. Les
See
open
how
world,
you
c'est
like it
sans
when I'm
fin.
not around to set the rules.
Donc c'est un
Somehow,
peu
I
boring
don't
à la
think
fin,
you'll
quoi.
enjoy it as much.
Comme il n'y a pas
But
de
who
fin.
knows?
Ça peut
You're an
être boring à la
inventive
fin.
kid. You'll come up with something.
Donc
After
vaut mieux
all,
des jeux
you're the
bien
one who
cadrés,
knows
un début et une
best.
fin.
Take care, Stanley.
Parce qu'après, quand il y a une fin, j'ai un sentiment d'accomplissement. Quand il n'y a pas de fin, ben, je tourne en rond, quoi. Mince, du coup, je t'ai pas écouté, je sais pas quoi faire. Je suis perdu. Voilà, j'ai pas de guide, je sais pas quoi faire, je tourne en rond. Voilà, c'est ce que tu voulais en fait. C'est ça, hein, l'histoire. C'est tu veux que j'attende tes ordres pour pouvoir avancer. Car sans tes ordres,
Hold on. What are you doing?
j'agis par moi-même. Et je fais des bêtises. Oh,
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
revenez ici. Ben non. Always follow the light. But where is the light? Alors, 5. Attends. Regarde ça, c'est 5 itérations. 184B, 22. Work in progress. Beta. Please rate your experience. Ah ouais, ça c'est son développement à lui. Oh. Filling cabinets. Ah ouais, d'accord. Excellent. Bon, par contre, c'est tout noir. C'est tout noir. C'est trop noir, je ne sais pas. Alors, please rate experience. Please rate experience. Work in progress. Iteration. Ok. Ah, Squitch. Squitch. Bon, est-ce qu'ils ont résolu le problème de PlayStation Network là? Parce que si au moins tu Tu pouvais me donner ton prénom, petite voix. Parce que là, tu ne fais que parler et je ne peux pas parler avec toi. Donc, quel est ton nom? Ah, la porte elle est ouverte là. Est-ce qu'il n'y a qu'une seule ici? Oh, il y a plein de portes, hein. Oh, il y a plein de portes. 423. Oh, je vais retourner au 427. Je vais retourner. Ah. Non, 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 non. Je vais pas retourner à ma misérable vie où je ne fais qu'appuyer sur des boutons. Oh,
I wonder what he
stop.
found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Non, 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 c'est un cauchemar. C'est un cauchemar.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered
Oh,
the door on his left.
mais si la conclusion de tout ça, tu veux vraiment que en fait je t'écoute sans fin et sans fin. Hmm. Je vais, je vais, je vais aller jusqu'au bout et je vais aller sur le bouton on plutôt que off.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Get Chris, Chris, out of the closet. You are not here.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Il y avait, est-ce que le 500, parce que là je suis où là? C'est refermé. Alors, je peux rien faire là. Il n'y avait pas une porte là. Je veux pas l'ouvrir. Ok. Oh! Ça s'ouvre. Ça s'ouvre pas tout à l'heure. Oh, I've got a feeling. Money's for stealing, but not yours, of course. Say that. That's a lovely purse. Extreme bathrooms. Ah ouais. Bah, y a rien en fait. Tiens, c'est quoi ça? Bon, y a rien là. Ok. Oh, il y a des portes qui s'ouvrent. Intéressant. Et le Time Magazine. Non. Business Strategy. Et pas stratégie. Ok. Strategy. Oh. Bien sûr, il faut monter. Je vais aller au sommet parce que généralement, les patrons sont tous au sommet. Petite musique d'ambiance, l'ascenseur. À nouveau la main. Hmm. crois que c'est encore un test pour me dire combien de temps. Alors c'est un truc sans fin, c'est ça? En fait, il va monter sans fin. C'est ça l'histoire. C'est ça l'histoire. Et que c'est un truc sans fin. Ça va me faire perdre mon temps. C'est pas grave, j'ai tout mon temps. J'ai tout mon temps, mec. Mais ma patience a rude épreuve. C'est pas grave. Je vais attendre. Je vais faire autre chose en attendant. Hein. Petite musique sympathique. La petite musique est sympathique. Sérieusement, ce jeu est fou. Ce jeu est fou. J'aurais pas dû m'embarquer dans ce truc. Sérieusement. Oh, je me fais attaquer. Aussi. Attends. J'attaque les sans-alliance, mais faites attention. Attention. Je vais le mettre. C'est bon. J'ai fait une tentative. Défaite. Ah mince. Anneau du stade. C'est une défaite. Bon, ok. Bon ben, allez. Oh, je suis resté. Oh là là là. Bien joué, bien joué. Tu m'as bien eu.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845. C'est quoi, c'est du Chianti?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Two, 845.
2845. Ok, j'ai entendu.
But it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself, and Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Ouais, d'accord. Ouais, ok, ok. Donc tu veux absolument que j'aille là, quoi. Ok. Ah là là.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape. Ok. J'avais dit, on va se tenir au plan. J'avais dit que j'allais jusqu'à la fin et que j'appuierais sur on.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Donc là, on est dans la chambre du professeur Xavier, le cérébro.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Where freedom meant nothing, meant nothing, meant nothing, meant nothing. Erreur 404. Veuillez redémarrer le système, s'il vous plaît.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
No, Stanley, don't do that, please. You are being controlled by this voice. Don't do that, please. Listen to your heart. System power on. Mind controls idle, awaiting input on.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
Oui. I want to control everything.
I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say,
Now.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated. All right, I'm in a good mood. You're going to die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free.
Correct.
Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? One soul? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy.
J'essaie de m'induire en erreur, mais il y a quelque chose.
But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't.
Oh, la porte s'est fermée. Attends.
Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle.
Goodbye, employee.
30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life? Or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Je suis mort. Tout ceci n'est qu'un rêve. Un mauvais rêve. Il m'a bien eu, hein. Il m'a bien eu. Il m'a bien eu. Mais je vais recommencer.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
New content. Oh, new content.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
New content. Uh-huh. Ok. Qu'est-ce que c'est que ce truc?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Ah ouais, d'accord.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Mesmerizing. Mesmerizing.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
The jump cycle.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle?
Saut restant. Excellent. Excellent. C'est un jeu pour te faire faire des choses inutiles et te faire perdre ton temps. Oh. Et attends.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
Attention. Ah non, je peux plus sauter. Je peux plus sauter. Ça aurait été trop bien si, tu vois, je sautais encore, ça faisait -1, -2, -3 jusqu'à l'infini.
Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Thank you for ordering the new content.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's trophies, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test trophy, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley.
Twitter.
I built up too
Non,
much
désolé,
anticipation
Twitter
around the new
n'existe plus.
content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Non, Twitter, c'est fini, mec. Maintenant, c'est X. Bureau 427, mais il a changé. Ah tiens, c'est une photo.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
Oh, the vent. You want to show me something? Show me something. Okay, show me something. Qu'est-ce que fout des tasses et des tournevis là-dedans?
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Stanley.
I
Open the
call
door.
it the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap PlayStation port? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
20h13. Our first kiss, my first car, the release of Stanley Parable in 2013. Ouais. What everyone said. Ah d'accord. Stanley, the British Academy of Film and Television Art. Audience Award. Independent Game Festival. Ah ouais, ça avait gagné toutes ces médailles-là? Ok. Smile because it happened. Il y a même des CD qui sont sortis. Le dollar American. The United States of America. Washington, D.C. Tu as des signatures. 1, 2, 2, 2. Je viens de là. Une démonstration. Oh, oui, il y a une démo. It is impossible to get this achievement. Okay. Game innovation. Début de game. Mars 12 mars 2014. New video game releasing today, New York Times. Ah tiens, regarde. Cette partie du scénario, je l'ai vécu. Ah, il y a le New York Times et le Los Angeles Times. Deals, tough choices. D'accord. In loving memory, little Stanley. Ouais.
Je suis dans la mémoire zone, seul sur l'abri de l'eau.
Carrément.
Et je n'attends plus que toi, mon amour.
J'aurais aimé m'asseoir sur ce banc et contempler le paysage.
C'est là, dans la
À
mémoire
écouter cette belle musique.
où je me remémore les jours.
J'espère qu'il n'y a pas les droits d'auteur.
Rencontrer mon amour.
Pour que YouTube il me bloque pas ce truc. Hein.
Mais ici, c'est aussi où je me souviens de la sortie de Stanley Parable. C'était en 2013, un très bon jeu vidéo. 2 mois après les journaux, mon amour. Rien de plus nostalgique que les prix du public qui reçut à l'IGF, mon amour. Ici, dans la mémoire zone, se rassemblent les 2 fantômes de Stanley Parable. Nous sommes dans la mémoire zone, mais me voilà pris le coup. Ne me force pas à choisir mon amour. J'aimais la version d'hier, la nouvelle fera-t-elle l'affaire? Plus j'y pense, plus je te perds. Voilà pourquoi maintenant j'erre dans la mémoire zone.
Vous avez vu là cette mise en scène que j'ai fait pendant la musique? Ah là là. Là je suis bon. Hein. Là je vous ai fait une mise en scène extraordinaire.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism,
Oh, tu m'avais
10
pas
out of
monté
10
une putain de
from
voix là.
Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Zone maintenance, j'ai pas la clé. Person of the Year. Oh, la porte bleue et rouge. Le trophée. Ils ont carrément fait un coffre limité d'édition sur le jeu. 2013. Ah ben, comment j'ai fait pour rater ce jeu magnifique? Your game is very good at letting them know they can't do anything. Literally anything.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. All they had to do was transport it in pristine condition along to the PlayStation. Boom, done. And they couldn't even do that. Couldn't resist the urge to go meddling with a beloved franchise.
I like work. I just hate my boss. Okay. Stanley Parable. Feels alive in its responsiveness to your choices and desire to subvert your expectation and keep you on your toes. D'accord. Your number is 29. Greatest wealth is memory.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again.
Bah écoute, est-ce que je peux ouvrir cette porte? Non? Donc il faut... Oh, la maintenance zone, elle s'est ouverte.
Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Let's discover it. Allons le découvrir. Qu'est-ce qu'une machine à soda fait ici, quoi? Et c'est là où il y a un truc only up. En 2013, il y avait pas encore ce genre de jeu.
God, no, Stanley. It's a collection of reviews from Pressurized Gas, the extremely popular online storefront for computer games. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Not recommended. 2 hours on record.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Bah ouais, mais tu m'as pas laissé lire la fin. Il pleut. En fait, c'est un jeu qui n'a ni queue ni tête. Hein. T'as de la chance que le PlayStation Network il marche pas, hein, parce que moi je l'aurais jamais joué.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Not
What's this one
recommended.
got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
A skip button.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No, 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 no. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time, everything all at once, so, now you see, blah, 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, no, until 245. But the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say, the story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time, everything all at once, so, now you see, blah, 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, no, until 245. But the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday,
Ok, t'as
here
gagné.
and there, forward
Allez,
and back, and never...
Voilà. Non, j'ai dit,
You're back, you see. You
t'arrêtes.
were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary
Saleté,
verbal
hein.
flourishes
Vas-y,
and
ferme ta gueule.
Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit,
Ouais.
didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption...
Ouais.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes?
Non.
It's not unendurable by any means,
No,
but it's,
no,
well,
no.
there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself.
Non, non, non.
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours.
Ouais.
You've
Ah
just
ouais.
been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room.
Mais n'importe
Stanley,
quoi.
the door...
Allez.
Oh, Stanley, you're back.
Ah.
You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here.
Saleté. En train de jouer avec mes nez.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here
C'est
again.
bon.
Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been
Ok,
through.
mais moi j'en ai rien à faire, rien à secouer. Je m'entends, ça y est, j'ai décidé d'arrêter, j'ai épuisé. Je suis épuisé. Ah, ça fait du bien, hein. Ça fait du bien depuis entendre ta voix. Hein. Mais par contre, il n'y a plus de porte. Donc en fait, on n'a jamais le choix. n'a jamais le choix.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review.
Non, mais sans déconner. Sans déconner. Il le fait exprès. La porte, s'il te plaît.
The end is
La
never
porte.
the end, is never 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 the end.
Ah ouais, non, mais sans déconner, c'est quoi ce jeu? Il est très bien pensé, hein. Il est très bien pensé. En fait, il est obligé d'appuyer sur le bouton. Encore et encore et encore et encore. Non. Oh, tout est détruit, d'accord. Chaque fois que j'appuie sur le bouton, en fait, le temps avance. Donc en fait, il faut que j'appuie et le bâtiment va se dégrader et ça va me montrer la sortie. Ok, 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 ok. Ok, 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 ok. Faut vraiment être patient dans ce jeu. Voilà, carrément. Oh, ah oui, oui. Enfin la sortie. Oh le désert. Oh le désert. Ah bah du coup je peux plus appuyer sur le bouton. Oh là 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 là. Faut-il suivre le soleil sans l'éloigner ou aller vers un horizon perdu? Que suis-je? Rien du tout en fait. Oh, ça fait du bien de retrouver son bureau. 427. Ça fait tellement du bien. Ça fait tellement du bien que je vais m'en arrêter là pour aujourd'hui, hein. Et peut-être même pour toute l'éternité. Ouais. Ouais. Allez, je vous laisse avec le numéro 427. Et on se dit à bientôt.